Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Diversified mining major Anglo American has decided to withdraw from the Pebble mine project in Alaska, with its year-end write-off expected to total $300 million. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Firstly, can you tell us what prompted Anglo's withdrawal from the Pebble project?
Well, they're trying to de-risk, they're trying to cut capital, so they took a look at their long list of projects. They did say at their last presentation that they felt too much money was being spent on these projects. And of course, people were wanting to deal with the environmental issues there. There was so much permitting. So he started prioritizing his projects, and this ended up, I'm sure, on the bottom because you can see there's just so many hurdles still to scale there, and they had a lot of people in trying to make sure that they didn't damage the environment, and I'm sure it must have cost a lot of money. And there didn't seem to be any end in sight to it. The final finish line wasn't visible, and so being in the mood that they are, ready to cut costs and cut costs everywhere they can, and de-risk, I'm sure that this was the first on the list. It's the first announcement anyway.
Now, Pebble is clearly a project that could have breathed economic life into the Bristol Bay area, yet it's met strong oppositions from the local inhabitants. What's their main concern regarding Pebble?
These people have been fishing salmon, for decades and centuries, and they feel that their livelihood could be threatened. What they worry about is the tailings from the mining process. That's the waste that is dumped. And of course, the group was quite prepared to show them other places in the world where they've got these tailings dumped, Chile and all the other places where they build them, in such a way where none of the material leaches out into the water table. But they still weren't convinced. They still feel if there are tailings lying around there, with the weather patterns you get in Alaska, it's going to end up in the Bristol Bay and it's going to kill the fish. And this is our livelihood. And they wanted to make sure that this was protected. And I must say they were vociferous. They even arrived at an Anglo American annual general meeting in London. They flew over these Eskimos to protest. So it was a long drawn-out battle. They also asked people to sort of not buy the metals and minerals from the group. And this setup came about 6 years ago when Anglo was looking for copper. And at that stage, Rio Tinto were working with this northern dynasty of Canada, more at corporate level than at asset level. And Anglo decided to get involved quickly at asset level. And the actual ore body there is very good. It's copper, gold, molybdenum. It's just that these days, the community resistance can be huge. And I think that there are 67 permitting processes. So you can imagine that this would have been long drawn out. And I think that's why Mark Cutifani has taken his pen and scratched this off and said, well, even if we've got to impair and write off $300 million by year end, it's going to be worth doing.
Wow. Do you believe Pebble is a dead-end project, or can we still expect it to go?
I actually went to Alaska. I had a look at the place, and I spoke to the people there, and I was astounded. The magazines were carrying this story. It was a major story when I was there. There were adverts from the partnership. There were adverts from the Eskimos. Even, celebrities were getting involved. Robert Redford came down on the side of the Eskimos. So that was happening there. It's a very high-profile fight. It's a serious fight. But what is happening in Alaska is that they're running out of oil. And when you talk to the people, they say, how dark this was economically around here, not only physically dark, but when you've got to go through these long winters and there's no anchor economy, there's no anchor economy within your country, like there's oil that actually boosts that economy, but it's depleting. And you need something to fill that void. And I'm sure at some stage they're going to say, look, let's look at this again, because copper is a product at the moment that is in big demand, and the prices have been good. And I'm sure, all miners are aware that you can make sure that those tailings don't leach. I mean, you can make sure that you mine 100% safely and environmentally protectively. So at some stage, and I think over a prolonged process, they're probably going to convince those people that it's going to be in their best interest to go ahead with that. But in the meantime, I don't think Anglo American can wait, and the beneficiary will be this northern dynasty, which is from Canada, which can understand this, which is patient, and which is going to go ahead at some stage, because I think that economy does need a boost.
It would seem, however, that the inhabitants closest to the area are fine with it. It's the people further than that who are opposed to the project.
And that often happens, Here, we've had a few projects here where we had the coke and coal project close to the Mapungubwe citadel, and the people close to the citadel wanted the project to go ahead because 600 of them had got jobs, and that was very key to them. But people living in Pretoria and Cape Town who had little properties close by, they were the ones objecting. And so it often happens that the further away you are, the more protective you want to be of this little space that you've bought for yourself. And so that's probably the same in Alaska, where those who are closest might feel, gee whiz, we're going to get benefits here, we're going to get jobs. And those a little further away are saying, no, let's stop this.
Well, let's hope the paradise can stay.
Yeah, well, when you listen to what they've got there, it is really a paradise. But I'm convinced there could be a win-win situation where everybody would benefit, and that mine would add to that economy. And these days they rehabilitate as well as they mine, and they could work on something like that, which would be of benefit to everybody.
And it's so cold there, maybe the tailings will just freeze anyway.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insights into what's happening in the mining world.